Hey guys, I hope that you are all doing well. Popping on here for Wellness Wednesday, live stream. Um, we are going to be talking about healthy meal idea hacks. So these are just going to be some quick ideas for you that I also incorporate for myself when it comes to having healthy meals on hand and planning them out for the week as well. So there is that implementation of planning. I know it can be stressful for, trying to carve out time, maybe like on a weekend. We always kind of split it between Saturday and Sunday of planning out our meals for the week. And we don't necessarily do like intense, in depth, like prepping or anything like that. Maybe we'll spend a couple hours and again, we will kind of split that between Saturday and Sunday. But there is an implementation of the planning and preparing that does need to occur for those healthier meals. And I'm just making sure that this is actually going live. Um, so, yay. Okay, perfect. So, what the very first thing is seeing what you have in stock in your own home. So that is going to be the first thing to do is to see what seasonings you have, what herbs you have, what proteins you have on hand, even grains, fats, all of that kind of stuff. Take inventory of what is in your home currently, write them down, see what you can come up with just from what you have on hand and then go from there. So I always tell people to just take out time one day a week to prepare and to plan so that you don't have a night without a dinner plan. So thinking of dinner themes can help you for that. So there's one staple in my family that we love to have, and it's taco salad. So we always make sure that we have black beans on hand. We make sure that we prepare our beans in bulk. So sometimes we'll get them from a can, but you have to worry about like the not necessarily BPA lining, but there are other like bisphenol that are like BPS, like that are just as bad or even worse than BPA. So sometimes we'll get beans that are out of cartons too that you can find at the store or glass jars. But you can also just use dried beans and soak them, prepare them in bulk, and then store them. So the dry beans are nice to have on hand because they last for quite some time. So we will get those and prepare those in bulk in like a crock pot or our instant pot, or even on the stove. So we love taco salads. We do that. We make sure that we have all those ingredients on hand. And we don't always use the same meat each time either. Like we'll do ground beef sometimes, or we'll do shredded chicken for some of them, or even sometimes we'll do pork in there. So it's all on what you have on hand, honestly. Uh, and shop for everything at once is one of the biggies. It keeps you from having to run to the store daily and, take time out of your day to do that, or having to eat out last minute. So in the long run, it does save you time. It might not be as pretty to see, with your wallet when you're buying it all at once, but it still can even out or even save you money. So do food prep for the week. That is another biggie. I mean, you can even break it down. I have where I will recommend people even just plan or prep for 2 or 3 days at a time and then 2 or 3 days the next time. So like you can do it in increments, but when you have at least prep foods for at least like 3 days, it can really help with those time crunch days. A lot of food prep for meals and snacking can be done ahead of time. Pick a time where you are able to do it. Usually for us, it's the weekend, a time during Saturday and a time for Sunday. Sunday is often a time that many people will prep their food for the week. Wash and cut up fruits and vegetables, store them in individual containers so you'll know exactly what you have on hand. Cut up vegetables are great for snacks, quick meals and lunches. I always buy bulk organic carrots and I will prepare a bunch of them, have them in a container, put them in the fridge. I love to grab them for snacks. Same with cucumbers. I will chop those up in advance and store them. We'll make bulk hummus because I love hummus so much. It's a great snack. It's a great spread for sandwiches. It is very versatile, so I love having hummus on hand, and I love making it because I like knowing what's going into it. So you can always get store-bought hummus too, and I always go for more of those organic brands. I like, if you're in Minnesota, Baba's Hummus is like one of them that I love. There are a lot of good ones out there though. Just make sure you know what's in the ingredients and all of that. So when it comes to like those fruits, you don't always want to wash fruits in advance. Those ones I actually like, watermelon, that kind of stuff. I will, any kind of melon, I will cut up in advance. But like apples, berries, I don't necessarily wash and then store just because they can get moldy really quickly. So I will do those as I want to eat them. Um, but those vegetables are really nice to chop up in advance. And if you're, making a dinner from scratch, chop up extra of those vegetables that you're using. So in our household, some of our staples are like onions, garlic. We use lettuce a lot. We use a lot of red bell peppers or any bell pepper. Zucchini is big right now. We are part of a CSA, and so we have a lot of zucchini on hand. We have a lot of tomatoes. We use more cherry tomatoes. I get those from the garden I have, and from the CSA. But those are kind of our staples. Even cabbage you can have cut up ahead of time. So the most common veggies that you use, make sure that you're preparing them in bulk. And you can do that while you're creating a meal. Just chop some extra at a time and then store them. So those are one of the hacks that we do. Having mason jar meals can be really helpful for people. I recommend like mason jar salads that you can layer them, prepare them. You don't have to put the dressing, but you can make a dressing in advance, have that stored throughout the week, and then, drizzle your dressing on, shake it up, and enjoy it. You can do burrito bowls where you have the bulk rice, you have the bulk beans, you have the bulk veggies that you've prepped, and you can create your own flavors, use different herbs and seasonings in there to just make it different throughout the week. So there are so many different things that you can do with mason jar meals, with creating bulk items, and then making your own bowls out of them, adding different toppings and all of that stuff. So those are some meal hacks that I use with my family. And zucchini noodle pasta salads you can do in advance. You can get the zucchini noodles pre-spiralized at the grocery store. Again, I always opt more for like the organic varieties. You can do deconstructed sushi in a jar for a mason jar meal. There are so many different things. Have them ready to go in your refrigerator, and then you don't have to worry about preparing them. They're just ready for the next day. Overnight oats are a huge one that, you get ready the night before. You can even do those in bulk. I typically, for overnight oats for a breakfast, will tell people to do like 3 days in advance because they just don't go so great if you're doing it like 5 days in advance. They can get really mushy and not so tasty. They start to lose their flavor, all of that stuff. So you can do those like up to 3 days in advance. And those are really easy to throw together. Just keep them in the refrigerator and then the next morning consume. So preparing breakfast ahead of time, you can even like cut up fruit and freeze fruit. With spinach, you can even freeze. Have your milk ready. You can have like a smoothie in a bag, basically. And then throw that in the blender. Doesn't take a lot of time, but you've had things prepped, makes it easy for you, and you enjoy a delicious smoothie. And buying already prepared items is going to be another big thing. Like I mentioned, the pre-cut vegetables can help reduce the meal prep steps. You can buy bite-sized fruit and veggies where chopping isn't required, like cherry tomatoes, berries, all of that stuff. buying discounted fruit and or veggie trays, getting food produce that's in season is going to be a lot cheaper. Going to your local farmers market will help you out with that. And then when needed, using the frozen or canned vegetables too. I typically will go more for those frozen over the canned. Um, and if you do get canned, rinse them really well. Opt for, if you're getting like fruit, opt for fruit in its own juices, no high fructose corn syrup, any of that stuff. Batch cook when you can, like I mentioned before. So there are many recipes that can be frozen when you're short on time. You can, shove it in the freezer. And then on those days that that things are going to be a little more hectic, you have it, you can unthaw it, reheat it, and enjoy it. So we do that with like spaghetti sauce, that has meat in it. We'll put that in our freezer. We'll do in the fall, now that fall is coming, we'll do soups and stews that we will freeze and then put in the freezer, have on hand. Different casseroles we'll do that with. Um, it's nice to just be able to stockpile the freezer so that on those times where it's a crazy and hectic schedule, you can just be like, all right, we're not going to plan to make anything for this day of the week. We're just going to go to the freezer and enjoy from there. Or, maybe people in the household aren't feeling well. Then you have soup on hand that you can unthaw and enjoy. You can do batch cooking with lentils. You can do that with your meats and proteins. You can do it with beans. You can do it with stocks. So, when you're preparing your veggies, one of my hacks that I do is like the veggie scraps that I typically used to throw away. I'll actually put in a baggie and put it in the freezer because you can make your own veggie stock. Or veggie stock or broth. You can make your own chicken broth or beef broth. Save the bones from any bone-in meats that you have, put them in the freezer, and then when you gather enough of them, you can make your own bone broth. And you have this gut healing broth to help during illnesses, during times of stress, during times where your gut is needing repairing. It is nice to have those on hand. So I am a big proponent of saving those scraps, saving those bones, and then making, your own stocks out of them. You can batch cook quinoa and rice ahead of time as well. That's a big thing that we do in our family. We'll do that on like a Sunday, and then we have quinoa. We'll do that with our meat too, and then have our meats. And all we have to do is worry about maybe the veggies or the type of meal we're going to make. We do a lot of skillets. We do a lot of salads, a lot of really easy things, but we're getting in the nutrients. You can make hard-boiled eggs to eat throughout the week as well. And I have some in my refrigerator upstairs that I did on Sunday. And my lunches this week haven't been as planned out as they should be, but those eggs have been nice to have on hand. I have a protein source. I can use them for snacks to, have some fresh fruit and have an egg. Or have a sweet potato, have a hard-boiled egg. Like it's really nice to have those things on hand. Cook multiple foods at once. So maximize the time spent preparing meals for the week by cooking multiple ingredients at the same time. So if you are oven roasting a large batch of veggies like potatoes, add in a baking sheet of squash or other vegetable at the same time. So you're getting two birds, one stone with your baking. I will be doing that today I need to cut up some zucchini. I love having roasted zucchini on hand. It's really easy to just throw that in with a dish, a side, you can put it in a casserole, put it on sandwiches. There are so many things that you can do with like roasted vegetables. If you're cooking a protein, let's say like chicken or tofu, consider preparing it with 2 to 3 separate seasonings. So have maybe a barbecue seasoning, maybe have like a pesto, or have, just a spicier Cajun type of seasoning, or garlic, Italian type. Like you can, whatever you like, just, have different varieties in there so you can spice things up throughout the week and it doesn't feel like you're eating the same thing over and over again. Use aluminum foil as a divider on the baking sheet to, make sure that you aren't having all these different seasonings together and mixed in there. Make sure, you are separating them. And then having, flexible foods on hand is going to be important. So maybe there are microwavable pouches of rice or cauliflower, rice cauliflower. You don't have to microwave them. You can put them in a skillet, a saute pan. I love having beans on hand. Again, the cartons or the glass jars. They're easy to just rinse, throw them in a meal, amp up the fiber, amp up a little bit of the protein, a little bit of the complex starches. Having vegetables like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, and spinach. Those are really easy to just throw into dishes. Avocados are great to have as a healthy fat. They're also great to utilize as like a snack. You can, if you have like shredded chicken, let's say, you can mix, avocado with your shredded chicken and you have like an avocado chicken salad in a way, and you can put that on sandwich bread. You can mix that in with rice. You can mix it in with quinoa. You can put it on top of lettuce. We've done that one and so good. Having apples, bananas, berries on hand, those are wonderful. And you can easily make a salad out of most of your leftovers. It is fascinating what you can do with salad. And we enjoy putting fruit on our salad, or at least I do. So grapes, blueberries, strawberries, have walnuts in there and sunflower seeds. Having nuts and seeds on hand is huge, or even hemp hearts that you can drizzle to amp up your dishes. There are many different things that you can get in bulk that you can add and make your dishes versatile. So using one pot for meals is another biggie. It makes for easy cleanup. You just dump veggies, your sauce, your protein of choice, and cook. There are tons of recipes out there. Having a pantry snack bin can be helpful too. Fill it with healthier snacks. Pre-portion homemade trail mix into baggies. Put that in your pantry bin. Have fruits, ones that can sit out, nuts and seeds that are handy. I do recommend, I guess, keeping the nuts and seeds, in the freezer or your refrigerator, just because of oxidation of the fats can start to become more toxic. So it's nice to have the nuts and seeds handy, but just don't put those in the pantry bin. Keep those in your refrigerator. Have a leftover night once a week. Honestly, we tend to have a couple nights of leftover meals. So we'll create big batches and then of different meals, and then we'll have leftovers. And sometimes we'll put our leftovers into a salad, or sometimes we'll put our leftovers into a skillet, or on top of make it into a sandwich. There are different things that you can do. Be creative. You can have leftovers for breakfast. Breakfast doesn't have to be cut and dry. Cereal, oatmeal, toast, eggs. It can be leftovers from dinner. Like, you can enjoy leftovers from dinner. Think outside the box. That is one of the things. We're so put in our boxes of meals and what they should look like and what they should be built like. And you can have breakfast, you can have dinner for breakfast. There is no like way that you have to do it. Like, figure out what works for you, what you enjoy. Some people like more of the sweeter for breakfast. Some people like more of the savory. I tend to be more of the savory, more of the higher fat type of breakfast, just to fuel me throughout the day. If I do want a little something sweeter, I guess I'll go more for those overnight oats. Have nut butters in there, a little bit of maple syrup or a little bit of honey in there to get that sweetness. Add some cinnamon, maybe vanilla. So yeah, there are so many things that you can do, and you can make cooked oats, and you can bake oats. You can create big batches in that sense. You can use your slow cooker for oats. There are so many things to do, but again, it's all about planning ahead of time. That's going to be the biggest thing when it comes to making your meals quick throughout the week. It does have some upfront cost to it, but you do start to get the hang of it. You start to find your flow. You start to get efficient with it. It's just make sure you set that time to plan, to prep, and things will be easier. It's a lot easier to do it in that sense than scampering during the week trying to figure out what to do. So, those are my healthy meal idea hacks for you. And I hope that you find them helpful. I'd love to hear what works for you, what resonates for you, what are some of your favorite meal hacks. And yeah, happy Wednesday. And I hope you all are having a fabulous end of your August. It's crazy to think that tomorrow is September. So enjoy the last day of August and have a happy Labor Day as well. Take